Beloved station, Radio Cayman.
The voice,
the heart, the soul of the Cayman Islands.
For the record, proudly brought to you by
Coca-Cola. Available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery. Inspiring luxury. West Bay Pharmacy. Taking care of your health. And JN Money.
From abroad to yard.
Fast, affordable, convenient. Doctor's Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctor's Hospital. Always there for you. Call 949-6066.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Coming to you live from Radio Cayman Studio.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you. For the record. Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Orrett Connor.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, O land of soft, fresh breezes and verdant trees. So fair. Today is Wednesday, the 18th day of January 2023, right here in the beautiful Cayman Islands. We hope and we trust that everyone had a restful, peaceful, enjoyable evening. Those of you who are on the roads of the Cayman Islands, whether you're a pedestrian, a cyclist, or operating any type of motorized vehicle on the roads of the Cayman Islands, we urge you to please be extremely cautious. Remember, if you observe the rules of the road, then the life you save may just be your own. This morning I want to mention, when we speak about motorized vehicles, I would include in that electric bicycles, and some of them can be very fast, can move up to 30 miles an hour. This morning I happened to see one, and it wasn't a recreational cyclist, someone actually ride to work on Tom Jackson Lane, which many of you call Spot Street, but I will continue to refer to it as Tom Jackson Lane until such time as we can possibly have it officially renamed. But that person was riding in the slow lane, the left lane, but no running lights at all. No lights whatsoever. That is extremely dangerous because any other vehicle can come behind you and run into you simply because you're not visible. And you want to bear in mind now that 6:15, 6:30, it is still dark. It is still dark out there. At the same time, you see several vehicles that are driving with no running lights as well. These are automobiles with no running lights as well. It is extremely, extremely important that you are visible on the roads. Otherwise, you're placing yourself in extreme danger. Now, some may argue, well, what are the police doing about it? Well, if I was a police officer, then that would be fine this morning because I could pull the person over, but we can't expect the police to be everywhere. So we have to use other medium to get information, to alert people to what they're doing wrong, rather than just relying on the police to do so. That is why I am a strong advocate for the resurrection of a road safety council in the Cayman Islands that can work collaboratively with the Royal Cayman Islands Police Service, but should be a separate entity of its own. In the past, we have had volunteer organizations that have done this. Unfortunately, some of those persons with that type of a passion, they have passed on, and others have not taken up the mantle and moved forward with it. But it is really, really needed in the Cayman Islands. For those of you folks who are celebrating a birthday today, we want to wish you a happy birthday and to remind you that for the record, birthday shout-outs are proudly brought to you by life insurance agents Michael Webster from Cayman Insurance Center, who reminds you to make the right decision for your family's future today. And so let's see who's celebrating birthday today. So we have Miss Jewel from Northside, and she is extending happy birthday greetings to her brother, Mr. Dalkeith Whitaker. He's celebrating a birthday today. Also celebrating birthdays are Michael Henry Parchment, Nisha Miller, and Tara Chang. So birthday greetings to Mr. Dalkeith Whitaker, Mr. Michael Henry Parchment, Miss Nisha Miller, and Miss Tara Chang, coming from Miss Jewel in Northside. Other persons celebrating a birthday today, we see here Shireen Borden, and this is coming from WhatsApp. Mr. Burns Rankin, actually I bumped into him in the parking lot behind the passport office yesterday, and we stood and we spoke for a while. First time seeing him for the new year. Of course, he said, this is the first time I'm seeing you since last year. And had a chat with him. Didn't know, didn't mention anything about his birthday, but Facebook on here is saying that Mr. Burns Rankin is celebrating a birthday today, so we want to wish him a happy birthday. Mr. Norman Williams, my childhood friend and neighbor, grew up together, shared many, many, many good memories. He was my best friend at that time in Georgetown. He and his cousin, Kenneth Ebanks, who unfortunately passed away at a young age, relatively young age. But Mr. Norman Williams, our nickname for him was Birdo. I'm sure he doesn't mind me mentioning that as well. So, Norman, enjoy your birthday today. Also, Tanya Edwards is celebrating a birthday today. And folks, again, to remind you that the birthday shout-outs and For the Record are proudly brought to you by life insurance agent Michael Webster from Cayman Insurance Center, whose advice is to live your best life and make sure your family can too, and also make the right decisions for your family's future, and make that decision today as well. Folks, before we go to our first commercial break, I want to give a big shout out to a person I had the opportunity to speak to yesterday, and whenever I visit that particular location, I always have an opportunity to interact with that person and to say congratulations. The individual, who will remain nameless at this point in time, celebrating 20 plus years, I believe it's either 23 or 25 years of sobriety. That, folks, is a huge accomplishment. You also heard Mr. John Edward Ebanks here on For the Record on Monday morning speak to the length of time that he has been sober as well, and we want to extend congratulations to them. Now, the individual that I'm talking about, that individual has no reservations in terms of speaking about addiction, alcohol addiction, and that individual will be, in some instances, advocating, giving testimonials in relation to it. And I want to say congratulations to that person. Extremely proud of you, based on the huge smile, and you're always pleasant, articulate, and always positive. But that big, wide smile on your face yesterday when you shared such, well, I'm at a loss for words, but shared such exciting information about your sobriety. You could tell that you were extremely proud and happy of that, and are now living a good, healthy lifestyle as a result. Folks, we have to admit that here in the Cayman Islands that we have an alcohol problem. I'm advised 25 years of sobriety. So I said between 23 and 25, 25 years of sobriety. And I want to congratulate that individual. Like I said, that person will remain nameless unless at some point in time they want to identify themselves. But because, here in the Cayman Islands, we were always curious, want to know, who's what, who this person is, and, whatever. That is not important at this point in time. What is important is that the personal achievement that that individual has made, and the fact that that individual will now share the story of their success with others, and also to provide encouragement and guidance. So I also found an article on BBC News, and Canada has now issued drastic new alcohol guidance as far as drinking is concerned as well. And just very quickly before, because I have to go to a break, in Canada, it says in Canada it should be dry January all year round, according to new national recommendations that say zero alcohol is the only risk-free approach. And it goes on to say if you must drink at all, 2 drinks maximum each week is deemed low risk by the government backed guidance. The advice is a steep drop from the previous recommendations published in 2011. Those guidelines allowed a maximum of 10 drinks a week for women and 15 drinks for men. So that has now been revised and basically talks about a maximum of 2 drinks each week. And folks, we do have an alcohol problem here in the Cayman Islands, and all we need to do is look at the number of licensed liquor establishments. Now, at one point in time, the argument was we are doing that so that we can accommodate our tourists in the island. But we can talk about that a little bit more when we return from this commercial break. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. The Cayman Islands, He hath founded it upon the seas.
Grand Cayman's road system, a seemingly constant work in progress, saw significant development during the tenure of Commissioner George Stephenson Hearst in the early 1900s. Elgin Avenue, named after the British colonial secretary, saw the arrival of a police station, public works depot, and the new government house. Along with Elgin Avenue, Hearst laid out Mary Street, and a drivable road from Georgetown was constructed the length of the 7 miles to West Bay, with a separate extension to Batabanu. Shedden Road was named after the previous commissioner, Friedrich Shedden Saningwetti, and was resurfaced, widened, and extended through the swampy interior to Boddentown. This new extension was called Crewe Road, after Elgin's British colonial secretary's successor, the Earl of Crewe. The road to Boddentown also included an offshoot extension from Savannah to Newlands. The Cayman Islands' first ever recorded sporting event, a bicycle race, would take place on Boxing Day 1909 on the new highway from Georgetown to Boddentown.
It's a brand new year, providing new opportunities in service to our Cayman Islands. We, Rotary Central, a premier voluntary NPO, join hands with you to fix things, make things better, improve on our way of life, give that helping hand, that shoulder to lean on, that push up the hill, clear that guiding path. This is Rotary Central, part of the circle that gets things done. Rotary, all the good you imagine.
Radio Cayman's historical vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
They say you only live once. I say you only die once, but you live every day. I'm Michael Webster from Cayman Insurance Center, longtime supporter of Radio Cayman. Live your life, my friends. Happiness is in the journey, not the destination. When you're ready, I'm here to support you with the best financial decisions for your family's future. Cayman Insurance Center, protecting you and your family so you can take back your future. I'm Michael Webster, the sure way to protect your family. Call me when you're ready at 925-5433. Don't take chances with your family's future or your valuable assets.
Think life insurance.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
JN Money, money touchdown. Send the money now. Reach wow. You say you need some money. JN Money, I can send it in a hurry. Get through quick when you come collect your cash, or use a money card and swipe it in a flash. Send funds to any bank, yeah. Pay your bills quick, yeah. Low fees, you know what it, yeah. JN Money, we are pick, yeah. Send and receive funds at any JN Money location. It's fast, affordable, and convenient. Money touchdown with JN Money. Send funds to any bank, yeah. Pay your bills quick, yeah. Low fees, you know what it, yeah. JN Money, we are pick, yeah.
Call 345-945-2014 for details. Available at JN Money locations across the Cayman Islands.
New year, new arrivals at Tomlinson Furniture and the Mattress Gallery. Modern and stylish bedroom sets are up to 20% off. Save up to $600 on Beauty Rest Black mattress sets and iComfort mattress sets, including adjustable bases. Our Palliser shipment of quality sofas, sectionals, and sleepers has also arrived with great family-friendly stain-resistant fabrics. Discover all the new arrivals, including plush beanbags. Save now until January 31st, only at Tomlinson Furniture and the Mattress Gallery, corner of Hospital and Walkers Road.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. So those birthday greetings going out to Mr. Dalkeith Whitaker, Michael Henry Parchment, Nisha Miller, and Tara Chang coming from Miss Jewel. They're also coming from Miss Trudy. Okay, so the greetings to Dalkeith are coming from Miss Jewel and from Miss Trudy as well. Got that all sorted out now. Again, folks, if you have any birthday shout-outs, please send them to us. No charge whatsoever. They're free, and we are continuing something that we were renowned for here in the Cayman Islands, recognizing people for their birthdays. And when we didn't have a radio station here in the Cayman Islands, persons went to the extent, and we didn't have telephones, people went to the extent of writing to Bonaire in the Netherlands Antilles, and there was one in Quito, Ecuador as well, to give shout-outs, birthday shout-outs to their families, mainly those men who were out to sea as well. So we have resurrected that tradition here on Radio Cayman, and we want you to take advantage of it. And of course, our proud sponsor for that is Mr. Michael Webster from Cayman Insurance Center. He's the life insurance agent at Cayman Insurance Center. So, folks, Cayman Islands getting just like everywhere else now, where false news is being circulated. It seems as if many persons are relying on TikTok, Facebook, and other social media platforms for their news rather than going to reliable sources for their news. As a result of that, the Ministry of Health and Wellness has issued a statement regarding a false news story, and it says that the Ministry of Health and Wellness is aware of the circulation of a false news story stating flight restrictions have been put in place in the Cayman Islands due to a new COVID-19 variant. The ministry can confirm that this is indeed false and urges the public to only obtain information from reputable and confirmed sources. And I would say, add to that the word credible as well. Credibility is important. And those recognized news entities, those are the ones you go to. And if you have any doubt, then you go to more than one source as well. In the news business, part of it is that you don't publish information unless you are able to verify it through more than one source. So one person, one entity telling you something, you should actually go ahead and research it, see where else that story appears for you to be able to verify it. We know here in Cayman, just like elsewhere, you have so many groups, chat groups, and everyone wants to be the first to put the information out there. As soon as they receive it, they put it out, and then it spreads like wildfire. And in many instances, that news is false, and then putting the toothpaste back in the tube is virtually impossible once you have squeezed it out. Okay, one of our listeners on Monday sent a message wanting us to inquire about the garbage situation in Cayman Brac, and the Department of Environmental Health on Tuesday, yesterday, the 17th of January, has issued this statement, this press release as well. And it reads, the Department of Environmental Health is seeking the patience and understanding of Cayman Brac residents as garbage collection services in the sister island experience delays. These delays are the result of a series of mechanical failures experienced by our trucks. In addition to an accident with the loaded garbage truck earlier this month, in addition to an accident with the loaded garbage truck earlier this month, personnel from the Department of Public Works are currently performing the necessary repairs, but the vehicle downtime still resulted in a slight delay in collections. The Department of Environmental Health apologizes to residents in the affected areas. Meanwhile, the department's team in Cayman Brac is assiduously working to resume this service. And if you want any additional information, you can contact the DEH Cayman Brac at 948-2321 or visit their website www.deh.gov.ky, or you can email them as well. So garbage trucks are out. My question would be, do we have other types of trucks, pickup trucks, that would have the ability, if the garbage is properly packaged, to employ the services of some of those pickup trucks, give the people on the Brac an opportunity to earn a little extra money, right? Have them take those that can be taken to the landfill, store it there. When the trucks are ready, again, if those are the same trucks that use that compact the garbage before they put it on the landfill, just store it. And when the trucks are back in service, when they're not on the road, then they use them to compact the garbage that is there. That at least removes the garbage from the streets, from the residences, and places it in the proper place, which is the landfill. Just my suggestion, folks. Folks, top of the hour, 8 o'clock news. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back immediately after the 8 o'clock news.
Thank you, Mr. Corner. And studio time now by Foster's is 7:59.
Why is your drink so green? Is this some New Year trend?
Being healthy isn't a trend, it's a lifestyle, and I'm trying to do better, to be better.
Be better? Well, what's wrong with regular soda?
In moderation, nothing, but it's nice to have something nourishing.
Wow, you took New Year, New Me to heart.
You gotta when you're hoping to live well with Foster's and CG Brit K. It's a great resource for healthy tips to help you achieve your peak wellness goals.
How do I start?
Check out livewell.fosters.ky and live well with Foster's and CG Brit K.
The voice of the Cayman Islands.
89.9 FM in Grand Cayman and 93.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman.
Silver wings shining in the sunlight.
Radio Cayman.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
For today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
With your latest news, I'm Carsley Fuller. With just under 150 students enrolled in the toddler to year 5 institution, the team at the Office of Education Standards has judged Island Montessori as good. This is unchanged since their last assessment back in 2019. The report says student behavior and attitudes to learning were excellent at both early years and primary. The, quote, excellent curriculum at early years was successfully underpinned by key Montessori principles such as choice, interest, and discovery. The OES report says the well-resourced, inviting outdoor learning environment was, quote, imaginatively designed and used successfully to promote children's movement, creativity, imagination, and curiosity. The OES says the directors and staff have established beneficial links with a range of outside agencies and that these effectively promoted the students' participation and learning in a variety of projects and activities. There were also regular planned opportunities for kids to learn from and within their community. The OES says the school provides a Montessori preschool program with links to the Cayman Islands early years curriculum in its toddler and CASA classes. The program at reception in Key Stage 1 and 2 is based on the English National Curriculum. For more information, you can head to oes.gov.ky. If you live in the Cayman Kai area, the Water Authority says there will be service interruptions between 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. today to facilitate ongoing infrastructure work. Customers on Water Key Road, Finger Key Road, Kaibo Crescent, and Camp Drive will be affected. On Friday, a 6 to 8 hour outage is planned starting at midnight. The water interruption will affect people living on Sandpoint Road, Sankola Close, Water Key Road, Kaibo Crescent, Camp Drive, and Finger Key Road as well. And Hazard Management Cayman Islands Hazard Mitigation Specialist Mark Codley became the first member of the Ministry of Sustainability and Climate Resiliency to be recognized in the Deputy Governor's Award Program. Radio Cayman's April Cummings reports.
HMCI Director Danielle Coleman nominated Mr. Codling in all 5 categories within the 5-year strategic plan. Since joining HMCI in 2018, Mr. Codling has been instrumental in several developments for the Cayman Islands government. He spearheaded the establishment of the National Emergency Notification System, which provides immediate messaging to the public in a large-scale emergency, such as earthquake, fire, or tsunami, giving life-saving information for members of the public to respond immediately. Mr. Codling designed, developed, and implemented the radio interrupt system, which can interrupt all 16 radio stations across the islands and impart messages, including how to respond to the threat at hand. He has also designed, initiated, and launched the Emergency Notification app, through which subscribers can receive messages on their mobile phones. HMCI Director Danielle Coleman lauded Mr. Codling for his teamwork, his ability to be forward-thinking, his mitigation work, and technical initiatives. April Cummings, Radio Cayman News.
Now with a check of international news, here's the BBC, which will take us out of the newscast. I'm Karsley Fuller.
BBC News with Jerry Smith. The Ukrainian Interior Minister, Denis Monastyrsky, and his deputy are among at least 15 people who've been killed in a helicopter crash in Brovary, an eastern suburb of Kyiv. Officials had earlier said 18 had died. The regional governor said it crashed near a kindergarten when pupils were in the building. At least 3 of the dead are children. Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov says he's yet to see any serious proposals for peace in Ukraine, adding that he thought President Volodymyr Zelensky's peace plans were completely absurd. But he said Russia was ready to respond to any meaningful initiative from the West. The U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen has told the Chinese Vice Premier Liu He that the two countries needed to manage their differences so that competition didn't turn into conflict. Mr. Liu wanted in-depth talks. China says it strongly opposes any proposed visit of the Tibetan spiritual leader, the Dalai Lama, to Sri Lanka. A Chinese diplomat in Colombo conveyed its displeasure. The UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has said the world is flirting with climate disaster as he urged more concerted action from business leaders gathered at Davos. Police are reported to have fired live rounds at protesters in the eastern Congolese city of Goma. The demonstrators were complaining of what they described as the inaction of an East African force deployed to fight rebel groups. BBC News.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
Now, more than ever, supporting your immune system is crucial to helping your body fight off illnesses like the common cold, the flu, and COVID-19. At ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road and in Buttontown, we carry all the essential vitamins and minerals to help support your immune system and improve your overall health. Some of our important picks are vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, elderberry, and quercetin, or the popular 7-in-1 immunity support. Our pharmacists are always on hand to help guide you and answer any questions. Visit ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road or Buttontown. Live happy, live healthy with ValueMed Pharmacy.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman with the latest up-to-date, accurate news and information. For your convenience, the headline news will be repeated on our sister station, Breeze 105.3 FM, weekdays at 8:30 a.m. Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or download the Radio Cayman app in the App Store or log on to www.radiocayman.gov.ky and stay connected to what's happening in the community. Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
Healthcare Pharmacy, caring about your health for the past 25 years. Radio Cayman's premier health show.
Alzheimer's and dementia, are they the same disorder?
Yeah, I think that's a very important question.
For the Health of It with Tara Bush.
For the Health of It with Tara Bush.
Is heard on Saturdays at 9:30 a.m. and on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Brought to you by Healthcare Pharmacy in Grand Harbor, where they care about your health. Transfer and refill your prescription online. Visit healthcarepharmacy.ky or call 947-8900. Healthcare Pharmacy, now with a new and second location in Governor's Square. The new Healthcare Pharmacy in Governor's Square is open Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Healthcare Pharmacy, where they care about your health.
We need to talk. Okay. We've noticed you've been going to KFC a lot more than usual lately. And
that's fine. We know you love it.
We just don't understand how you can afford it.
The KFC What a Deal menu starting at just $3.50 gives you lots of great choices and value. Available at KFC Baytown Plaza, Shudden Road, and in the Strand. The KFC What a Deal value menu. The deal everyone should know about. Come to KFC and enjoy a variety of tasty choices at surprising prices.
KFC, it's finger-licking good.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice-cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, Cayman.
Good morning. Let's take a look at the latest weather report. Current temperature is 78 degrees. Relative humidity is 78%. The barometric pressure is 29.99 inches and rising. The wind is out of the east-northeast at 7 knots. Overnight low temperature was 74 degrees. Synopsis indicate moderate easterly winds and seas expected over the Cayman Islands for the next 24 hours in association with a high-pressure system north of the Caribbean. The forecast for today calling for partly cloudy skies with a 20% chance of morning showers, and temperatures will be in the low 80s. Winds will be east to southeast 10 to 15 knots with higher gusts. Seas will be moderate with wave heights of 3 to 5 feet. Tonight, expect partly cloudy skies with less than a 20% chance of showers, and temperatures falling to the low 70s tonight. Winds will be east to southeast at 10 to 15 knots, and seas will be slight to moderate with wave heights of 2 to 4 feet. We're presently at a high tide, and the next low tide will be this afternoon at 1:51, and a high tide again this evening at 6:27. The sun will set this evening at 9 minutes past 6 and will rise tomorrow morning at 3 minutes after 7. And the outlook is calling for similar weather conditions through Thursday afternoon.
During these unprecedented times, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Cayman Strong Series. The Cayman Strong Series is brought to you by Encourse Cayman. Visit encourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. Encourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
Achieving our goals is rewarding, but at times can feel frustrating, especially if and when we miss our target. As you approach your goals in life, set yourself up for success.
When setting your goals, look at the big picture. What is most important to you? When you are successful, how will your life be different? These questions can help you define what success means to you. Are you dreaming of owning your own business, getting a significant promotion, or running a marathon? These values will guide the goals you set for your future life. Being able to envision your values in action will make them feel real and near.
Change your thinking and change your life.
During these unprecedented times, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Cayman Strong Series. The Cayman Strong Series is brought to you by Encourse Cayman. Visit encourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. Encourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
These days, feelings of loneliness, anxiety, stress, and depression can be overwhelming. Just know you are not alone. Encourse Cayman offers private mental health services for children, teens, adults, and groups. Visit encourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualifying team. Encourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Top of the morning to you. Let's take a look at how your traffic is looking this morning. Busy traffic coming from the east on Shamrock Road and the Linford Pearson Highway. Heavy traffic. Busy traffic coming off of Bobby Thompson Way. Traffic is also busy heading to Georgetown on Crew Road. And off of Agnes Way, busy traffic. Godfrey Nixon Way and Eastern Avenue, traffic is flowing moderately. Coming from the West Bay four-way stop, moderate flow of traffic. And traffic is flowing at a good pace on Edward Street. From the West Bay four-way stop, moderate flow of traffic. Into Georgetown on Shedden Road, not looking too bad. Out of Georgetown on Shedden Road, moderate flow of traffic. Busy traffic coming off of the Estelu Tibbetts Highway, slight delays expected. And traffic is flowing moderately from the Butterfield roundabout heading towards the Industrial Park area. Steady but flowing traffic on Northtown Road. And if you see any accidents or incidents on Cayman's roads, give us a call here at Radio Cayman, 949-6990. That's the very latest on your traffic. Join us again at about 10 minutes after 12 o'clock. We'll give you another traffic report. Remember, click it or ticket.
When you're craving something big, something tasty that gives you that lip-smacking satisfaction, something that hits the spot, there is nothing better than a footlong from Subway.
It's pretty tasty.
Filling and full of flavor. Try our new sweet onion steak teriyaki with a twist. Or the classic chicken teriyaki. Top it with green pepper, onions, cheese, and that sweet onion teriyaki sauce, all piled on your favorite artisanal bread. Satisfy that craving with a footlong from Subway.
Fresh, delicious, tasty, meaty.
Let's make it a meal with a drink, chips, and cookies. There is nothing better than a footlong from Subway.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Refilling and transferring your prescriptions have never been this easy. Simply go to healthcarepharmacy.ky and follow the easy directions from your desktop, mobile device, or tablet. All you need to do is pop into Healthcare Pharmacy in Grand Harbor to collect your prescription. They're open 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. Monday through Saturday and 10 till 6 on Sundays and public holidays. No waiting in line, no wasting your lunch hour, no stress. Just easy online prescription refills and transfers from the pharmacy that has been caring about your health for 25 years. Call 947-8900 to speak to a pharmacist or go to healthcarepharmacy.ky and make life easy.
It's a brand new year, providing new opportunities in service to our Cayman Islands. We, Rotary Central, a premier voluntary NPO, join hands with you to fix things, make things better, improve on our way of life, give that helping hand, that shoulder to lean on, that push up the hill, clear that guiding path. This is Rotary Central, part of the circle that gets things done. Rotary, all the good you imagine.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. No guests in the studio. Today, of course, there is a select committee of the full House or the full Parliament taking place today. So members of the government as well as the opposition, they will all be there. A select committee of the full House, that means all members of Parliament will be attending. I am trying to determine. I recall sharing with you some information about a private member's motion, and that there was a select committee that of the whole House that was recommended and agreed upon. I am trying to determine precisely what topic, what area they will be dealing with today. Still waiting for some information on that, and as soon as I get it, I will pass that on to you. Meanwhile, we do have a caller, and I'll take that caller, but I want to sort of like prep you for one of the things that I want to discuss. As you know, on Monday we had Miss Farron from the Department of Children and Family Services in the studio, Miss Cassandra Farron. We also had Mr. John Edward Ebanks, Miss Pastor Marcus McLaughlin, and Miss Ethel Jackson. And that was the second in a series celebrating older persons. It's an initiative by the Ministry of Innovation, Investment and Social Development and the Department of Children and Family Services in collaboration with other key stakeholders. And we will continue that. You also hear the historical vignettes here on Radio Cayman about our history and people in the Cayman Islands, and sometimes we may get that pronunciation, wrong, but we're working on that to get it right. Things like shedding sanguinetti, we'll get the sanguinetti all sorted out. Working on that, because if we're going to celebrate our history and if we're going to convey it to others, then we have to make sure that we get it right. We have to get it right. So I'm going to share with you an article, 20th of January 1966 in the Trade Winds newspaper, and Mr. Willie Wood, he had a series of lives of old people in Bordentown that he ran, and this one has to do with a lady by the name of Evelina Powell. And I will share that with you. But meanwhile, we're going to take the caller. So let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. Dorsey, and a Happy New Year.
Good morning, sir. Happy New Year to you. Great to hear your voice, sir.
Yes, glad to be on. I think I have a short story, but I think it's very timely. When you notice the number of Cubans that are reaching our shores, I think what I'm going to say to you is timely.
Okay, yeah.
I was attending school at Town Hall School, it was called then in West Bay, and it's in the summertime, so the summer holidays are on. So I asked my mother if I could go fishing. We called it iron shore, rocks, whatever, but I think everybody understands what I'm referring to.
Yeah, and we used to go, like you said, the iron shore, going on the iron shore.
And so see, there was a lot of fish then. Oh, a lot of fish. So that particular morning I went down and I saw a group of people. Now, in areas where the boats come in, they used to call it the coves. So this boat was in there, and so people were gathered there to it. And I saw them helping two ladies get in this catboat. And then they rowed them out to this vessel that was anchored off. Then they came back, and four men got in, and they took off. So then they left. So when I got home, I said to my mom, I said, "Oh, can you help me with what I was seeing this morning?" And I said, "Well, I saw two ladies. They were really fat. And they were on board a vessel. Then after that, I saw four men." She waited a while. She said, "Oh, I think I know. The ladies you saw that you think were fat, they were pregnant. And they were being sent to the doctor in Havana, Cuba, by our doctor here. He wanted them to get some specialized treatment. The four men were men who were going to look for a job in Cuba.
Mm-hmm.
And so, see, that's exactly what happened. She told me that doctor in Cuba told her in Havana he didn't even feel like charging her, knowing the journey she had taken to get to him. But she said that Cuban people were so kind to them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I thought, well, what better time than now to say, because what I'm saying has nothing to do with our government. It has nothing to do with politics.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This was a boy observing history being made. So I don't want anyone to jump on this and try to take it off by, politics has screwed up so much stuff here. But I thought it was time that I mentioned this.
Do you recall what year that would have been?
So I don't want to guess at it, but anyway, I know it was in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm operating without a secretary, Mr. O.C., and the quantity of papers that I have, and I'm trying to put stuff together, and I'm writing a book.
Oh, great. Good to know.
So whatever I can tell you right now, I will hopefully put it in. But I try to cut out the fat when I'm talking to you because I know others are waiting to get on. But I thought now was a good time to say to the Cayman people, remember the Cuban people being nice to our Cayman people that went over there for medical aid and for
work.
See, let me tell you about the men that went for a job.
Mm-hmm.
They got a job right away because they started picking fruit and vegetables. So the men got jobs and the ladies got attended to by the doctors in Havana. You see, in Isle of Pines, Cuba, where we used to go to, the Japanese went in there and really taught the Cubans what they didn't know about growing stuff. So they grew a lot of vegetables in Isle of Pines.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right, Mr. Dorsey, I'm going to leave it at that because I just thought I wanted to say, man, people return the favor whenever you can. So,
and we
government is doing all they can do to try to assist.
And Captain, we have done so to a certain extent. For a small island, we have done a lot. As far as migrants moving through the Cayman Islands. And I, the other day, one day on the show, was talking about in the 60s, early 60s, I would imagine it was, when the boats used to come in, and those used to be huge fishing boats at that time, with refugees and what we used to call the little dock, or I think it used to be Marin's dock right in front of the Church of God there. They used to tie up there, and they would stay there for weeks, sometimes months, until they were able to transition on to the U.S. Of course, those days the U.S. had an extremely liberal policy as far as entry was concerned, because they were trying to get as many people out of Cuba as possible after 1958, 1959. So, and then, of course, don't forget, over 1,200, maybe more than that we had in the mid 1990s as well. So for a small island, we have done our part also, but we should, like you said, not forget the history. And what was so timely about your calling, sir, was that only yesterday I was reading an article in the Jamaica Gleaner about 5,000, close to 6,000 Jamaicans in the diaspora in Cuba, and we're talking about the fact that they wanted to have more recognition and wanted to be more engaged in discussions with Jamaica and what was happening there, because many Jamaicans as well went over to Cuba. Now, of course, many were taken over there as slaves before the English recaptured Jamaica and Cuba and from Spain. But there were issues there as well in terms of prejudices and colorization. They called it at that point in time. So many people were relegated to the menial jobs and stuff like that because they were of their color and they were discriminated against. But your point is well taken, sir.
Okay, well, like I said, I'm not. Thank you for helping me recall what you were talking about too. I don't know all of it, but thank you for enlightening me because what the good book says is true. Do unto others you would, they should do unto you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So God bless you, brother, and keep up the good work.
Thank you very much, and all the best to you in the year 2023 as well, Captain. Ms. Susan, you want to take that commercial break and then take the next caller afterwards? Let's do that, folks. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
J and Money touching down again. Now you can send your US dollars at any location on island, including the BRAC. It's easy. Just walk with your US dollars. No need to convert to CI. This is another convenient service available at J and Money. They always find a way to make it easier and hassle-free. So remember, when you need to send your money and you only have US dollars, don't ever think of what to do. Just head straight to any J and Money location and send your money the fast, convenient, and affordable J and Money. J and Money, touching down again. J and Money, ranga to la friend.
So much happening so fast, too much. It is hard for me to follow my healthcare instructions. The private counseling with West Bay Pharmacy literally saved my life.
At West Bay Pharmacy, we know how complex medications can be. Our pharmacists are delighted to offer you personalized one-on-one healthcare counseling, free medication review, therapeutic callbacks, and we will liaise with your physician to ensure you receive the best in quality medical care.
Quality of life has a whole new meaning with the right pharmacy to support you. Thank you, West Bay Pharmacy.
West Bay Pharmacy in Centennial Towers. Convenient quality care is just around the corner. Now you can WhatsApp your West Bay Pharmacy prescriptions to 516-0777.
This National Heroes Day, we honor the persons who have given their best to the Cayman Islands through volunteerism and charitable services. Join us in Heroes Square on Monday, January 23rd at 9 a.m. to celebrate their achievements. The event is free and open to all, and refreshments will be provided. The festivities will also be aired live on Radio Cayman and streamed on the Cayman Islands Government YouTube channel.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, Cayman.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. We have 4 callers on hold, so we're going to go through all of those 4 callers and any more that call as well. Let's grab the first caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Austin. Happy New Year.
Good morning. Happy New Year to you as well. Good to hear your voice and hope you're doing much better.
Yes, I am. Thanks. God is good.
Yes.
My pet peeve.
Yes.
Planning department. There was a project in the BRAC, and this is in the BRAC again, that has been waiting from the beginning of November for an inspection. The project has been hold up now 2 months, and if you have to do, they try to penalize you toward the end, if not the end. I mean, where does these people go? who do they complain to? The thing is, I have voiced it to them. I've called them numerous times. Well, you're lucky if you get hold to them. But I spoke with the chief of the people in the planning department that deals with inspections.
Mm-hmm.
And that's Mr. Lewis. He told me, oh, you can't go ahead and do anything without the inspection. I said, well, how long do we have to wait? Oh, he said, it's a matter of reasonable time. I say, well, you're going to tell me sitting down 3-4 weeks is a reasonable time for you all to do an inspection?
Yeah, what may be reasonable to one person may not be reasonable to the other.
Exactly. And I say, you going ahead and you penalizing these people because they hadn't gone and got their inspections. And in the end, you don't want to give them their power. You don't want to do this. You don't want to do that. I said, that is unfair. I said, remember now, people have to work. If people don't work, they can't get paid, number one. But number two, I must sit down and pay my guys to work and not work.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 2 months. That's over 8 weeks now that inspection has been put in. I was made to understand that the new system that they put into place is screwing up the whole thing because it is putting things into someone else's account. And they will go if they don't, and mind you, each permit now has to have the contractor listed on it. They will go and say, well, oh, we couldn't find a contact person, we couldn't do this, we couldn't do that. So we disapproved it. No, man, you can't do that kind of thing. You know that if it, and they'll take and they'll call the architect. The architect say, well, I'm not responsible, I want to do the drawings.
Mm-hmm.
The contractor is so-and-so. The contractor in the BRAC, and I know because I'm project manager in the job.
Okay.
The contractor called them, I don't know how many times. I know it's over 10 times. They're not answering, they're not returning calls. I called them, and I got the same, you would say the same shoe. I remember the minister coming on to your show and saying things were going to get worse before they get better. Well, I'll tell you what, they're a whole lot worse now. Because those same inspectors used to answer calls. No, they don't. So, I mean, I am going to take it on myself to tell the man to go ahead and bore. Because it's 2 months gone.
Mm-hmm.
And tell them to come at me then.
Before you go, caller, I just want to say that on Sunday during our ride, we happened to be at the Jack's gas station in Frank Sound, in Old Man Bay, sorry. And one of the cyclists there was talking to someone. They're both in, one I believe is a builder, a developer. The other one is into heavy equipment. And they were talking, and the builder said, he's basically going to scale down because he cannot deal with the planning department any longer. Too many delays and stuff like that.
Right.
Now, if that is the way that we're going to go about slowing down development in the Cayman Islands, and I'm one that say that we need to control development, but that is not a good way to slow down development by delaying.
No,
but by delaying what is there, you're going to have to make decisions, at the end of the day. But what you're saying is something that is resonating throughout the construction industry. And I don't understand why people are not listening and not taking corrective action to ensure that these issues are addressed? Do we need someone to go in there and do a complete review of the planning department? I remember one time when we had issues at the immigration department, the then Mr. James Ryan, chief secretary, he was commissioned to review the policies, procedures, and activities of the immigration department. Is that what is needed here? Caller, I want to thank you very much for that. We're going to try to grab these other callers, but we will leave everyone with that rhetorical question. Is that really what we want? Next caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Hi, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing well. I wanted to talk to you about
We're getting an echo in the background.
Okay, one second. One
Okay,
second.
sure.
To talk to you about
Uh-huh.
two things. One about what you all were talking about there with the construction industry.
Yep.
This thing about slowing down, because what's happening, there's a trickle effect. I don't think people even understand it unless you're in it. When they slow down, it means that the development slows down. When the development slows down, all those contracts are purchased and slow down. Which means the person's getting up to a year delay to get into a condominium development. That year delay, because other units have been built and this could be a second or third project, they have risen in value. And so then those contractors who had those contracts try to do little games where they will call on a particular busy time and finally get the approval and rush it in and then tell the person, you got this amount of days, when they have been sitting waiting month after month for up to a year. And then that trickles into those persons having been in rental accommodations, having to recontract their rental accommodation. So there's a huge trickle effect when things like that happen. Because people are not always in homes to move into other homes. They're in rental accommodations.
Yeah, and then plus whatever loans that you have, there may be a starting date for you to start your repayment, and you may be paying before you even able to occupy.
Right, and then if you have interest rate changes, you're going to start having issues with the bank coming back and saying, no, we may have contracted you at that, but now our interest rates are 0.75% higher. You can't meet the requirement again to pay.
Yes.
See, we got to be real careful in this country, and I know my mind might go further ahead than most people want to admit that they could also see if they would just sit for some time and just look at all of it. Just look at the domino effect. What happens if this happens? If that happens, then what happens? That's it. But we have to start looking at that. And then the second point, the best thing I heard this year, matter of fact, it's the best thing I've heard in the last year and a half. The Minister of Health issued a statement that you read this morning, turning all of that news carrying nonsense that's been going on in this country, and they felt the ripple effect of that with that COVID untruth. They understand that can actually hit our infrastructure. Is how big those things happen. But see, when it happens to small man, it don't hit everyone. So I applaud the government for issuing the statement because speaks volumes. Sorry, but it speaks volumes, and it needs to be heard. And when you get a chance, Mr. Connor, read it again.
Okay, I will.
Them kind of things need to be repeated over and over that people understand it's not tolerated. And the government say it's not tolerated. Yeah. We repeat other things over and over. These one of them that need to be repeated until we get tired of hearing it because we learn to abide by it. Right, thank you again.
Thank you very much, caller. Always articulate, always clear in what she, has to say as well. And we want to thank her. We appreciate it every time that she calls into this show. Let's grab the next caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Sir O.C.
Good morning. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year.
Thank you. Same to you.
Yes, I just wanted to say my point, too, about the Isle of Pine or the Isle of Youth, whichever one caster wanted to call it. But I wanted to tell you one day I was in Miami. I took a taxi, and it was a Cuban taxi driver. And when I got in, I was going a distance. I was going down to way down in Miami, and I said, I'm from the Cayman Islands. So he said, oh, my. He said, I'm from the Isle of Pine. And I knew Calvin Seymour, I knew Louise Seymour, I knew Bob Seymour, I knew all those people.
Wow.
So I said, oh, we happen to be my family. And what I'm going to say to you is what he told me. He said, you know, I like Isle of Pine. That's where I was born, but I didn't like how Castro treated the people in Isle of Pine. He said, in particular, the black people. And my ears perked up, and he started to tell me things. And I remember as a child, you know, my mother, and they sending things to Cuba. You know, I remember that. But I wanted, and I know Mr. Farrington said that we must remember. And yes, I certainly think we must remember, because I remember when the Addy used to come here. And I'm a little older than you. But I think sometimes we mustn't think that people don't owe us a favor too. You know, we might be the island that time forgot, but not time forgot. They forgot it for a while, but we certainly remember it now. I wanted to address that, because I know that I have, when I was in politics, we had to send. I had some family over there who went over to Jamaica, and we had to send them some money to help them to go over to Jamaica. And I don't know, and someone who studied history and Spanish told me that they were not treated so well. Now, I don't know if that is true, but I know that that is what the taxi driver told me. And the reason I brought that up is to tell you also that I remember too when Jamaica was like Miami to us. You remember?
Oh, yes, yes.
Oh, you don't remember that?
Oh, I remember it, and I'm reminded every time that I read a trade wind newspaper in the 60s and stuff like that, where, you know, you see everyone going to Jamaica either for medical attention or to visit relatives in Jamaica. Oh, yes.
Oh, well, Jamaica was like Miami.
Yeah, yeah.
Everything was about Jamaica. I remember when my mother learned about a college, and she said I had to go to college, and she went and she told Mr. Jackson, I don't want her to go to England because that's too far. I can't get there. She said in Jamaica I can get there in 4 days. So that's where I want her to go. And I remember, I mean, I'm at the age you're a little younger than me, but I have a phenomenal memory about things.
Yes.
And, you know, I reflect and have a kind of nostalgia too, because, you know, you remember when the Honduran boat used to come and line up there by the dock, and we as children used to walk on and get bananas and get anything we wanted to get. You remember those days?
Yeah.
OC?
Yeah, and we had a Cuban. We had a Cuban here by the name of BU too. You remember him? Remember BU?
Yeah, BU. I remember. yeah. But he was an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
right there next to Captain Ben's bar.
That's right. He went over to Miami, and yes, I appreciate what Cuba was for us. But the same way I think that we can talk about Cuba, we have to think about all those countries in our area that we have. That it's reciprocity. I mean, they helped us. We look at Swan Island and all those places like that.
Yeah.
You know, OC.
But Miss Lucille, don't you?
You're talking about it. Sorry?
Don't you think that we probably here in the Cayman Islands in this day and age, when you compare, because you know the value of the dollar and everything else, but don't you think in many instances that we have repaid that tenfold? What the assistance that we got? Yeah.
Cayman, listen. I just think that Cayman is the most wonderful country on earth. I have been around the world 3 times. Oh, 3 times. I've been as far down as Falkland Islands, up China, way down to Pacific, over to Alaska. And let me tell you something. There is no place like here. Even the little robberies and things, and I'm not condoning them, that happen here. I walk around every day and I don't hear the fear of people, you know, and and they're still interacting. And Cayman is one of the best places.
Yeah.
And I hope that we realize, especially the young people, realize what a wonderful country we have. I mean, when I come out of my house and I can go and I can look at the sunrise and walk around and walk down to Hurley's if I want to, or walk across by Prospect if I want to. I can do those things. I can walk. I don't have to take a car. And it's really a nice place. But you know what? And I'm going to leave this with you. What I don't like is some of the people who have come here and made it, and then turn around and look at me and say, Cayman is too expensive. We have to leave. We have to leave. So I'll say to them, yes, you have to leave, but you made your wealth here.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do now? Take it and go with it and don't leave anything for us? I said, I don't have anywhere to go. There's nowhere else. Not even Cayman Brack will own me. And I mean, and I don't have anywhere you can go. You're not going back to your home country. You're going to the United States, which you say is cheaper than us. But, see, you must talk about this thing about Cayman being expensive. Everything is relative, you know.
Yeah. Yep.
Everything is relative. And we have created the country we want to live in. It might be a little higher because we have high hopes for all of us. We have high hopes for our children. We want to live well. We want to be able to walk in good streets, drive on good roads. We want to have a clean society. We want to have a society that the social makeup is we can interact with one another despite our hue. And we have created a beautiful country for ourselves.
Yep. Thank you very much, Miss Lucille, for that.
And I just thought I would say that to you and talk a little bit like that.
Certainly, yeah. We'll highlight it certain more. And, with all the shortcomings that we have, we're still one of the best places. Just want to say before we go to the commercial break that if you're interested in the article that I was talking about in the Jamaica Gleaner, you just Google Jamaican diaspora in Cuba feels forgotten, and you will, see a story there about the experience of the Jamaican diaspora in Cuba as well. Folks, we're going to take a commercial break. Still callers on hold. We will take those callers as soon as we resume, so please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
At Kirk's Home Center, we can make your life much better. We got it all together. We got a great deal in store for you. From cookware to stereos, from power tools to plumbing supplies. Yeah, we got the best goods with the best price and a service to make you smile. Kirk's Home Center, we got a great deal in store for you.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
On a daily basis, making it easy to connect with you, our listeners. Add us to WhatsApp today, 925-3261. That's 925-3261.
Radio Cayman.
Send a text or voice note.
Can I send a request, please?
You don't really have to ask us. Just send a request.
This is a shout out to my ex.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. Going back to the phone lines as promised. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, OC.
Good morning, my friend. How art thou, sir?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Yeah, okay. I just want to, first, I would like to congratulate you on the Monday. I wanted to call in, but I didn't want to interrupt the dialogue that was going on. I want to congratulate you on that Monday show, that episode, history and culture. A lot of that was in there.
The kudos need to go out to the ministry and the Department of Children and Family Services. Their idea, and we're going to have more of it. But thanks for the compliment.
Yeah. And just to touch a little bit on Miss Lucille call, I think we'll see any of the surrounding countries or islands that we went to back in the day, we paid our way and we paid for whatever we went there for.
True.
And I think we have repaid them. Can you imagine how many kids that we sent to school? Just little economy, and how many castles and mansions that we have built and businesses that we have started overseas by people coming there to work. So,
and how many Cayman passports we have issued that they have moved on now and taken up citizenship in other countries?
Somewhere else, yeah. Used us for a stepping stone. We didn't do that with them.
Yeah.
We all came back home. Okay. See, what I really called for is I always wanted to mention this. I have a good friend who's MP, and always mention the fact that he thinks that the status grant, the runaway status grant, was the worst thing ever happened to Cayman. And I sort of agrees with him.
Yeah, I share that sentiment as well.
Yeah,
and
I agree with him.
It's playing out now.
Right.
The results.
And they also throw in that the one-man vote is the second worst thing. And to touch on the status grant, I often wonder why, if the government in waiting beat up on the fact that the status grant was the worst thing, and you continuously campaign on that and actually won the election on that, why is it when that government gets in, I think Cabinet was the one who did the issue of those runaway status grant. So Cabinet would have, I think, according to talking to my good lawyer, they also could revoke, or not revoke, but at least could revoke, I guess. But what they should have done, in my opinion, was to open an investigation into every individual that got the status the way they got it, and to see whether they had deserved it. I'm quite sure there was quite a few people that got it that had deserved it, but there was lots of people, I understand, people that was also in prison, people that was off the island, people that had no idea
that they had been granted.
Their name was submitted. Yep. It was just randomly name thrown in. So I think all that should have been investigated. And those that in the government now that came in, opinion that didn't deserve it, they should not have got it. They should have just been revoked. In that place, it should have been revoked. And I know you got callers, so I got to touch real quick.
No, we're going to let you talk to because we know that you held on for quite a while. So we're going to afford that opportunity to all of the callers behind you.
So I thought that should have been investigated and really, really look into every individual, because, like you say, where the chickens are coming home now to roost. You know? So, and the next thing I wanted to mention was that the idea that I gave him about me thinking that one man, one vote was the second worst thing, was that if we change the election from what our ancestors have passed down to us from generation to generation, I think we should have gone the way of, now that we have 19 elected members, I think I should have the opportunity of voting for all 19. Just put the 30-something that run, 50-something on one side and give me an opportunity to take 19 out of those. And because whatever affects Georgetown affects East End, North Side, and that individual that runs for East End would also have to campaign within West Bay, Bordentown, and Georgetown. And then I think that too would keep our island the way it used to be, well knitted, you know. Everybody would know everybody, and you would have to look out for for people also in Bordentown, East End, we could all come together, because I could say at the end of the day, in West Bay, I voted for you too,
Mm-hmm. Now, if we can make a distinction, because if you look at the Electoral Boundaries Commission report, I think in there, there's a talk about one person, one vote, and how it is unfair for a person in North Side and East End to only have one vote. In Bordentown, you can vote for up to 4 persons. In Georgetown, you could vote for up to a certain number in West Bay, and that was unfair, right? Now, what you're talking about now still gives you one vote, but it gives you one vote for each member. Right. Now, what we ended up conflating to a certain extent was coupling one person, one vote with single member constituencies. So we included the both. We could have had our same electoral districts that we had before and still afforded the individual one vote. But there is a strong argument for having equality as far as voting is concerned, and the one person having one vote, every single person throughout the islands having one vote. I think that was important and that was essential.
But see, we still only have one member in East End. We still only have one vote in East End. I don't care whether you cut up Georgetown in 50 pieces. Mm-hmm. They still got more members than East End.
Yeah.
You still have, whether you can only vote for one person or not, but still, you still have many different representatives.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think I should be able to vote for everybody that get elected.
Yeah. That's a good concept.
Even if I don't vote for 19, but I have the choice of voting for 19.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I think that's the way we should go, because now I'm understanding that my good friend got to go back to the Boundary Commission again.
Yes.
The boundary again.
Well, not necessarily change it. They will review it and see what, based after 8 years, what changes if are necessary, and make recommendations along those lines. Or they may look and see, well, the one person, one vote, single member constituencies isn't working, and may make other recommendations. But they will look at the data, and I think they will also be consulting with the public to get their views.
Say not working, we need to hold all them accountable. I'm hearing, I hear from individuals saying, don't worry about them. In my area. I hear that. This is a small community. We can't have that kind of attitude.
Yeah.
So let's make me vote for the guy in West Bay. Make me vote for the guy in Georgetown too. Make me have a choice. At the end of the day, when I go to him, he can't tell me that I'm not in his constituents.
Yeah. All of the seats will be at large seats then. Yeah.
You don't know who I voted for. So I think that's what we should change too.
Okay, good idea.
Whatever we need to change that, because we can hold every single soul accountable. The little guy in East End can hold the guy in West Bay accountable.
Yep. Good.
That's what we need to go to.
Thank you very much for that. And to remind people that today in Antigua and Barbuda, their elections are being held today as well, January the 18th. Let's see whether or not there are any changes will take place there as far as the administration is concerned. Folks, top of the hour, headline news. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Today's biggest news.
Radio K-Man. Your voice, your choice. Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio K-Man's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
On Sunday, the DOE Terrestrial Resources Unit responded to a call out from one of their volunteers who found a dead brown booby bird on the south side of Cayman Brac while doing their weekly survey. This area is known to have a high density of feral cats. The department says, quote, all efforts will be made to ramp up monitoring and control of these sites. The 3 main figures in Ukraine's interior ministry have been killed in a helicopter crash beside a nursery in an eastern suburb of the capital, Kyiv. The interior minister died alongside his first deputy minister and state secretary. 9 other people were killed when the helicopter came down in Bovary, and another 9 on the ground, including 3 children. The interior minister is the highest profile Ukrainian casualty since the war began. 4 young men have been executed in connection with the nationwide protests that erupted in Iran 4 months ago, while 18 others have been sentenced to death. Human rights groups have said they were convicted after grossly unfair sham trials. 22-year-old Muhammad Karami was a karate champion, and he was hanged on January 6th, 65 days after his arrest. Sources have told BBC Persian that he had less than 15 minutes to defend himself in court. Those are your headlines. I'm Karsley Fuller.
For the latest in news and information,
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. One of our listeners has written in and said, district councils are crucial as they will deal with local matters. This will prevent our MPs from being social engineers or Santa Claus. Want to thank that writer for that. Let's go back to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Morning. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm fine. How are you?
Pretty good. I think that we constantly confuse how you hold government accountable with how some of these things are structured. The district council is advisory, correct?
Yeah. They refer to as advisory district councils. Yep.
And the appointment of members go by whom?
The premier and the leader of the opposition.
So the people you want to hold accountable will choose who will be in those positions.
Yep.
And we think that's going to work. No, it won't.
But remember now who made the proposals too, the ones in power.
I understand. I have a clear picture of what's going on here. When we think about Georgetown and West Bay and East End, we think of them as districts. But we have what is now called constituencies. Well, we don't have multiple people in Georgetown anymore, right? Because what we used to call a district, which was Georgetown, that was essentially the constituency.
Right.
We now have a single member constituency. So when we say Georgetown West or we say Georgetown North or Georgetown South, that's not Georgetown. Those are three different districts. Okay? So
But bear in mind now that outside the elections debate, Georgetown is still a district. Outside of the purview of elections, Georgetown is still a district.
It's a historical district.
Right. Well, a little bit more than historical. When you look at the various maps of the island as well, other than the electoral map, it is. Yeah.
I know, but when we say that Georgetown is a district, what was meant by that in the past was that Georgetown was a voting district. And that's no longer the case. I agree with you that people think of it as, we're in Georgetown, we're in East End. But we're not in a voting district of Georgetown anymore.
Right.
We're in a voting district of Georgetown North, Georgetown South, and they are different voting districts.
Right.
So it's not that Georgetown has more than East End. That's over. The idea that if you have single-member constituencies, you'll have accountability. A little play on words there. But what it actually means...
Or you have the ability to hold them accountable, a little bit more accountable.
But by knowing who is definitely responsible.
Yeah.
So what is missing? Why we don't have accountability? I'll tell you. the willful ignorance and cowardice of the population. That's why we're not holding politicians accountable. Which brings me to another thing you were discussing earlier. You were talking about getting your news from reliable sources. Okay? There needs to be an easy place for people to go to get information from the government. However, meaning, you see like how government has the portal? You go to some of the, you have to go to different locations to get information about the different ministries. But there should be one place that you go to that you can say, let me filter it by so-and-so ministry, but it be one place, one page, right? Because you want it to be simple for people to find whatever the government information happens to be.
Right.
Now, if each of those ministry pages want to reflect that on their respective pages, just for the convenience, if somebody went to that particular page, they could see what is there. That's fine. But there should be one page that you go to that you get government information from. But there's another problem with government information. Governments normally have a bias of what they want to do, and sometimes that's not even in the best interest of the public, because we're dealing with humans, and sometimes humans do things they ought not to do. And the reason why I'm bringing this issue up about news and in this context is that we've heard that the vaccines were safe and effective. We now know that that's actually not correct. They don't stop the spread. We know that. That's a fact. Okay. We know that as early as 2020 in Israel, they had research that said that natural immunity was better than the vaccine.
Now, when you say don't stop the spread, does that include that it doesn't reduce the spread? Because there's a difference between stop and reduce.
That's right. It's so negligible that there's hardly any difference.
Okay.
Okay. And so what you have to realize is that the number that was being touted was the relative reduction and not the absolute reduction. And the absolute number is the one that they should be going by, but are not going by. The relative reduction, they told us, was, it was about 95% effective. Well, the absolute number was less than 1%. And what I'm trying to say to you is that Elon Musk has now taken over Twitter, and he's now revealing how the government was censoring what was being said in the public about this information.
Now you spoke about reliable news.
Okay.
To some people, Elon Musk is a madman to a certain extent too. So you want to be careful in quoting him.
No, I get that. I get that. But what he has revealed is how the U.S. government was interacting with the private sector to shut people up, which is unconstitutional. Okay? That'll be dealt with in the future. I'm just telling you what's unfolding at the moment. And what was actually happening is that one of the people who was on the board of Pfizer was helping to shut down conversation on Twitter about this subject. And it turns out that what he was saying was just self-interest. Because the point he was making was that at the time in 2020 when someone who was a past, I think it was an FDA director, had made a comment about natural immunity being better. Well, that was a preprint document, meaning it had not yet been peer-reviewed. It is now peer reviewed, and what he said at that time was correct. Okay, that's the peer review today. And so the point that I'm trying to make to you when it comes to reliable information is that sometimes the people who, and I'm talking about the HSA, the Chief Medical Officer, the Cayman Islands government, the Ministry of Health, the Minister of Health, sometimes they are unwilling to consider possibilities. They just flat out reject it. And in this particular case about natural immunity, if you think about the context of the conversation, it has always been true in all other vaccines that natural immunity is effective. Why would this one be an exception?
Okay.
And
you got
so
2 minutes for you to wrap up.
Okay, what I'm trying to say here is that just even if we had one single page that you could get all of your information from government doesn't mean that you're getting accurate information. And so if you want to hold government accountable, you have to do your research and you have to have the courage to hold them accountable. Having single member constituencies where you only vote for one person, or whether you vote for 19 people, or I don't care how you structure it. Without the courage and the research, there will be no accountability.
Yep. Caller, want to thank you. Thank you very much for that. Well articulated. One of our listeners has written and said the caller is not exactly correct. Georgetown is a geographical district in the Cayman Islands. It is also the capital of the Cayman Islands. For voting reasons, the District of Georgetown is broken down into voting constituencies, but they are all part of the Georgetown District. In the future, we may increase or decrease the number of voting constituencies. We may even change the names of the constituencies, but the District of Georgetown will remain as well. So I want to thank that caller for that opinion, and those are actual facts. But I do understand what the caller was trying to get across, as well. Now, one more comment. Some people believe that having more than one elected member to go to, so if you were back to, having 4 elected members for a district of 5 or even 6, that equates to accountability. In some instances, some people believe, it means that I have more access. Whether access and accountability are synonymous, I don't believe that is the case, but certainly gives them more access. Let's take that commercial break. We still have callers on hold, Ms. Susan. No callers. When we return, let's get to Mr. Willywood's article. If not, or if we get a caller, then we will take the caller first. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
West Bay, home to Barkas National Park, the touristy flair, a family community, a political powerhouse. From sports enthusiasts to car aficionados, affection for silver thatch rope. No matter how far you may venture, West Bay will always be where the heart is. Home will always be in West Bay. West Bay Pharmacy, caring for your home and your family. West Bay Pharmacy in Centennial Towers. Convenient, quality care is just around the corner.
Tune in every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. for Radio Cayman's Midday Newscast. Radio Cayman, the People's Station, your trusted official source for the latest news. The 12 p.m. news is proudly brought to you by Health City Cayman Islands. World-class healthcare within your reach.
Your Radio Cayman 6 p.m. news, Monday through Friday, is brought to you by Logic. Your life connected.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. We're going back to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome.
Hi, Mr. O.C. Captain Farrington. Again, I slipped on something that
I feel like I should have told you.
Not a problem. Not a problem.
Those 4 men that I mentioned, that they were Jamaicans. They came here from Jamaica, went from here to the Isle of Pines, Cuba, worked in the fields over there, and eventually came back here, married into the families. And to give you an idea, the pastor at the church in Georgetown, one that the pastor died not long ago, a young guy. Anyway, I thought I would mention that.
Agape?
Bring you up to speed, but I remember.
You're talking about Agape?
Yes, that's right. Agape.
Okay.
Yeah, that grandson that's preaching there,
Mhm.
you know, he's the grandson of one of them Jamaicans that came here, went to Isle of Pines, and then back to Cayman.
Okay.
And then he had a brother named Sam. And then I remember one name was the Edward Strebe. And I thought I would mention that this is the route they took, but they came back, married, and they've been working themselves into the community, and they contributed a lot, especially with agriculture. They could teach Caymanians then something. But I thought it was important that I said that they came here first from Jamaica, then they went on a Cayman vessel to Isle of Pines, Cuba, worked in the fields, then back to Cayman and got married, and they have been making a contribution here.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much for that, Captain. Thank you.
Okay. I thought that was important I mentioned that.
Thank you. Well, what I'm going to do, I'm going to switch gears, and I'm going to actually share this article on the radio from the Jamaica Gleaner yesterday. And the writer of that article was journalist by the name of Lester Hines. And the article starts by saying that Cuban Jamaicans residing in Cuba are calling for inclusion in Jamaica's engagement of its diaspora. We are a forgotten community, despite being the part of the diaspora closest to Jamaica, said Yamil Hall, who heads the Jamaican Overseas Club of Cuba, which has some 5,700 members of Jamaican descent. Hall noted that as descendants of Jamaicans living in Cuba, many Cuban Jamaicans are trying to connect with their roots and find out about their relatives in the island, but they have been finding it difficult. And the person is quoted as saying, many of our brothers lost total contact with their ancestors and their descendants in Jamaica, and today they do not know their origins. In my house, I was able to find my ancestors and their descendants after 100 years of the arrival of my grandfather to Cuba. But many Cuban Jamaicans are seeking to make such a connection. And that's what the Lady Hall told the Gleaner. She believes the government could help and support the community of Jamaican descendants in Cuba by having a systematic contact with them and by granting access to records, increasing engagements with the community, and restarting the process of accepting citizenship requests. Hall said that although she applied for Jamaican citizenship for herself and her son in 2021, she is yet to receive a response. She said that last year she was told by the Jamaican embassy in Havana that it was no longer receiving citizenship requests. It advised those wishing to receive Jamaican citizenship to travel to Jamaica to apply. Such travel, Hall said, is a significant hurdle for a community with little monetary resources. She further said that even a simple request for a Jamaican flag from the embassy in Cuba has gone on unfulfilled. Hall noted that the Jamaican Overseas Club is not an association with a formal headquarters, as they mainly use the internet to connect. She describes it as a space to exchange and expand their knowledge about their history. She's quoted as saying, "I was motivated to establish the Jamaican Overseas Club as a vehicle through which we can seek such connections," said Hall, whose grandfather hailed from St. Mary. "We do not pursue any other purpose than solidarity, aid, and exchange with the community of descendants of Jamaicans residing in Cuba and other parts of the world. Jamaica's relationship with its nearest neighbor goes back to the days of colonization, when both islands were ruled by Spain before the British conquered Jamaica in 1655. According to Jamaican Journal, the early 1900s, thousands of British West Indians, including Jamaicans, traveled to Cuba to work in the agricultural industry or to occupy niches in the service industry. However, there were some complications, largely owing to colorism, which I spoke to about earlier. By the 1970s, these things had improved significantly and formal diplomatic relations between the islands were underway. Cuba then built a series of schools and clinics in the more rural parts of Jamaica. Both islands have produced some influential figures, some of whom have crossed paths. In 1980, when Jamaican Prime Minister Michael Manley met with Cuban leader Fidel Castro, the Washington Post reported, Jamaica is in a unique position as the Caribbean nation with the longest close relationship with Cuba, and at least amongst the English-speaking islands, the one with the most ties with the United States. In the entertainment front, the nations pioneered two popular music genres. Cuba birthed salsa, while Jamaica created reggae, and both of these have heavy African influences as well. So that's the article there, but and if you want to read it, just Google Jamaican diaspora in Cuba feels forgotten. Closer to home, Mr. Willie Wood. Correspondent for Tradewinds newspaper in Bordentown, 1966, he wrote, "In continuing our series of lives of old people here in Bordentown, who we believe live longer than those from other parts of the island, we bring you this week the life story of Mrs. Evelina Powell, who was born 89 years ago. And remember now, this is 1966. As a young girl, she attended school for a few years, learning to read and write. Soon after, she worked as a housekeeper for the Reverend McNeil, who was one of the first ministers to reside at Bordentown. After leaving there, she worked for William Webster, who was the father of J.S. Webster. In 1897, she bore a son whom she reared by cutting and selling logwood, which was shipped to Jamaica. 65 years ago, she married a Lazarus Powell from Breakers and went there to live. He was fairly educated, owned a vessel, and served as an agent trading groceries for logwood and thatch rope, which was sold in Jamaica. At that time, she did the housekeeping. In 1931, her husband died, leaving her a house at Breakers, where she still lives, plus a fair amount of property. She made her living during this time cutting tops and twisting rope. At that time, she was a member of the Presbyterian Church. Since then, she became an Adventist, and at the present time, a member of the Church of God, where she still worships when she's able to attend. She lived a hard, rugged life. Chef, food was fish and vegetables. When asked what she thought was the secret of her long life, she replied, "I never used alcohol in any form." Remember now, we spoke about alcohol earlier in the show. Went to bed early. No television to watch. Never used tobacco. Liked to dance. And was considered one of the best, especially in the 8-hand polka, which was all the rage at that time. Took care of myself and worked hard. Today, her voice is loud and clear. Her memory good. She walks erect as a like a young woman, but her eyes are dim and legs painful at times. Body apparently in good physical condition, and looking forward, I have to find the rest of it now. This is very difficult here. Page 5. Let's take a commercial break and I can come to find the rest of this article because I have to scroll through it. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
60 and bossy with J and money. When a trip it easy, trust me. Yeah. Come on, just send some money. A instant entry. Look how you're lucky. Bossy, J and money, bossy. J and money, send you go a yard. Scene, bossy. Jamaica well bossy. 60 and bossy. We well proudy.
Celebrate Jamaica 60 with J and money for a chance to win a dream vacation for 2 to Jamaica, including airfare, resort stay, and more. Send money for a chance to win. Your loved ones will also be entered for a chance to win a brand new car. Competition runs from now until December 24th. J and money 60 and bossy enough.
Call 345-945-2014 for details. Available at J and Money locations across the Cayman Islands.
Bossy, Jamaica well bossy. 60 and bossy.
No J and bank account required.
So much happening so fast, too much. It is hard for me to follow my health care instructions. The private counseling with West Bay Pharmacy literally saved my life.
At West Bay Pharmacy, we know how complex medications can be. Our pharmacists are delighted to offer you personalized one-on-one healthcare counseling, free medication review, therapeutic callbacks, and we will liaise with your physician to ensure you receive the best in quality medical care.
Quality of life has a whole new meaning with the right pharmacy to support you. Thank you, West Bay Pharmacy.
West Bay Pharmacy in Centennial Towers. Convenient quality care is just around the corner. Now you can WhatsApp your West Bay Pharmacy prescriptions to 516-0777.
I've got some beautiful clothes. I know just where they go. Puritan Cleaners.
Puritan Cleaners, now using the most popular and eco-friendly cleaning solvents. 2 convenient locations to serve you: Savannah Countryside and Eastern Avenue, Georgetown. Drive-through, rain or shine, free pickup and delivery services available. Call Puritan Cleaners 949-7104. Also ask about our in-house discounts. Puritan Cleaners, you feel good when you look good.
Puritan Cleaners 949-7104. That's 949-7104.
So Ray, are you ready for another See What I'm Saying?
Okay, Dwayne, so we're back. So I just want to wish everybody a happy new year or a happy, successful revolution around the sun.
What's in store for us this month?
Yeah, Dwayne, the topic this month for See What I'm Saying is Norwegians.
Norwegians? What I gotta do with it, man?
Yeah, Dwayne, believe it or not, some of our founding fathers were Norwegian.
Really?
Believe it or not, our DNA is coming back Scandinavian. So that means Norway and Sweden and places like that.
Norwegian in their blood?
Yeah, Dwayne, Norway is a maritime society like us too, you know. Plus all the connections we have with Norwegian seamen.
First you're talking about Norwegian blood. Now you're saying Norwegian seamen?
Yeah, we have a lot of interaction with Cayman seamen and Norwegian seamen, you know. So join us this Friday for another See What I'm Saying. This time the topic is Norwegian.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay.
No, I can't stop
Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, K-Man.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio K-Man.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. We have a caller. I just want to finish this sharing this article with you, written by Mr. Willerwood on the 20th, I believe it was, of January 1966, Trade Winds newspaper. A story of Miss Evelina Wood. Evelina Powell. My apologies, Miss Evelina Powell. So the article goes on to say the son that she bore in 1897 is with her and takes good care of her. The Lighthouse Club is being constructed near her house, and she says that she will go there and dance if her legs will allow her to. He said that he ended the interview by wishing her many more healthy years as well. So I want to thank again the late Mr. Willerwood for that. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, OC, and good morning to your listening audience. Happy New Year. It's Minister Brian.
Good morning, Minister. Happy New Year to you.
I just want, before I start making any comments, can you hear me correctly? Is there any echoing? Because I'm
hearing you loud and clear. Loud and clear.
Perfect. I was just calling in. I wanted to be on your show this morning to start the year off with the first show, but unfortunately, I have to be in Standing House Committee today. But I wanted to give you an update as to the Standing House Committee and the proceedings.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, the government had a bill before Parliament last year, the last month of the year in December, in respect to the Gambling Amendment Bill.
Mm-hmm.
As a result, that bill was decided by the Parliament members for it to go to a Standing House Committee to have a review of it. And as a result of that review, we're having the first meeting this morning in a Standing House Committee meeting. Now, that meeting is normally done in privacy, what they call in camera.
Mm-hmm.
But I will be asking for it to be done in public because of the sensitivities associated with the bill, as it's become a little bit controversial from a perspective of I call a 50-50 split across the society, whether lotteries and numbers should be legal or not, which is caused the government to have the proper discussion about this.
Mm-hmm.
So this morning we're going to go into standing committee of the House, and it's going to be chaired by the Attorney General to go over the bill of its intent, have discussions about, does it need improvements? Where does it need improvements? Is it the right timing? All these relevant questions that members can ask, as well as potential opportunities for witnesses from the public to potentially attend. And that's the room available for members to at their disposal that they can do.
Mm-hmm.
So if we want the public input on this, we can ask for witnesses to be called. And I think because of the sensitivity, it should be done in the public's domain. As you also may be aware, and the public aware, the government has the intention to have a referendum on two matters, one of the decriminalization of marijuana, as well as the second one, whether there should be a national lottery.
Mm-hmm.
So with that in mind, this discussion will be helpful, at least in respect to the national lottery perspective, for us to analyze as a society, as elected members who represent the people, to what the results of that potential referendum could be based on the content of the discussion. So I just wanted the public to know that.
Uh-huh.
And if they had the opportunity today to potentially come down to Parliament to hear the proceedings, I don't know if I'm going to get the full support for it to be done in the public open floor, because normally it's done in the private committee meeting.
Mm-hmm.
But if it does get to the floor of the House, I'll try to send out as much notification as possible for the public to come down and interact and listen to what the report will be saying.
Right. I was wondering whether or not we here at Radio Cayman should be on standby to be down there to broadcast it in the event that your request is granted.
Well, I would love to have. I would love to be able to say yes. I think that might be a prudent thing to do, but it's not my call. It is the call of the majority.
Well, the government has the majority in there. Any idea what your side, what their views are on it being aired publicly?
Well, we haven't had the opportunity to discuss that. Actually, we were just going over the fact that standing committee actually is done in private. I just spoke to the Attorney General just recently. And it is going to be a bit crowded because the standing committee room is not as large as we would need it to be, especially if you bring witnesses in and so forth. So it is, from a space perspective, it makes more sense to do on the floor of the House. But again, it's a decision of the whole House, of all members who attend.
And it's not possible to change the venue for it to be held in the chamber?
Oh, yes, it is. It just has to be put to a vote. So to say to you whether the government's in favor of that, I can't answer that because we haven't discussed it yet.
Certainly.
We're going to do that probably within the next 15 to 20 minutes when members show up at Parliament to go through that process. But I would hope that something as sensitive as this is done in the public domain for us to all have a say in this, because I know that there is varying views on this, particularly once the Cabinet supported it to go out to public consultation to come to the Parliament. Over that 28-day period, I've gotten many representations from my people from various different angles as to whether the bill should be supported or not. So I would like the discussion to be in public. So let's see how it goes, and I am assuming that the powers that be who have the authority to indicate to you, that would be the Speaker of the House, for Radio Cayman to air it, or for GIS to run it live on their YouTube channel, will be actioned after that vote, if the vote is successful.
Okay, one more question before you go, Minister. I couldn't help but notice the sign when you're coming, heading south on Eastern Avenue, right at the intersection by the light there. Want to comment on that? The billboard.
The billboard is mine. It is something that I've kind of one of my signature political strategies in respect to informing my people. I think it's something that I have always marked myself on, trying to get as much information to the public as I can. And that billboard says, it asks the question, is supposed to probe the people to think about the question. So it says, should the Cayman Islands have a national lottery? And second question is, should marijuana be decriminalized? That's not exact wording, but those are two substantial questions. And at the bottom of it says, Cayman, what is your thoughts? And I want people to think about it, because with the government coming with a referendum, the more I probe the question, naturally human beings are going to go, well, what is my view on that? And then they go, well, I don't know what my concluded view is. Some people have their views already, and they're strong with that. Some people would like other people's input, whether it's, somebody senior to them, their community, their families, their pastors, their leaders, their political representatives. So I want people to think about it, because I don't want a referendum vote just based on lack of information. To be honest with you, I intend, as the representative of Georgetown Central, separate and apart from the government for a minute here, to have a meeting where there's a political discussion of the pros and cons of this, because this is the people's wish and decision. These two areas, these two topics, are things that are somewhat taboo in our society, and nobody wants to talk about it publicly. But I think I like to take the different approach, where you go head on and say, let's talk about it, because hiding behind the fact that, God forbid that, we would allow or give permission for marijuana consumption, when the reality is that perspective of marijuana consumption has changed over the decades. Just similar to that of alcohol, when it was illegal and you had, it was prohibited, but time changes things. So similarly with the national lottery perspective, when that bill came in some 60 years ago, gambling was seen, particularly when it comes to numbers on a national lottery, was seen to be a serious offense. And now today, one would question whether or not it's an accepted fact that people want to be involved in being able at a game of chance and luck to gain more money. Not only that, but with us being an overseas territory, and in the UK, it does allow a national lottery as well as gambling straight up. Not suggesting because the UK doesn't, and be happy for it. But the principles of examining that option, I think, should be put to the people now, because we haven't reviewed these two topics officially in a long time. We've had, over the different cycles of elections, you've had people who supported or were against it to talk publicly, but it never got this far where the official government took on the topic and say, okay, let's have some say in this with the people. So I'm happy that my government has agreed to have this referendum, and the board that is there is just to provoke people's thought process. So when it's time to go to a referendum, they've had an opportunity to analyze it and discuss it with people who can give them more information.
Certainly, and the location of that billboard couldn't be a better place, because Eastern Avenue, I would say to a certain extent, that may be considered the capital, for the illegal numbers game in the Cayman Islands now. So, it has a prominent place there, if I should say so.
Yeah, I have two signs, and I try to strategically put them there from a traffic perspective as to where the most viewership is. But though that sign has to do with those two topics, I also use it to, wish well the people in Christmas time, also prepare them for hurricane preparedness and other things of announcement. So it's almost like a public service announcement board that I use for my people in Georgetown Central and the greater public of the Cayman Islands.
Certainly. Minister, I want to thank you very much for sharing that information, and hopefully your request will be successful in terms of airing live the proceedings of the Select Committee of the whole Parliament that is taking place today as well.
Thank you, sir. God bless you. Have a good day.
All the best to you too, sir. Folks, we're going to take our last commercial break. Oh, no, why don't I need some time, so let me do this one, Ms. Susan, before we go. One of our listeners wrote and said, and this is extremely interesting, I was privileged to attend a lecture provided through the UNESCO-sponsored Congress de Cultura that included delegates from 35 countries from the Caribbean, Central, and South America in 2005, given by Professor Fueri, an ethnologist at the University of Havana at the time. He stated that 90,000 Jamaicans immigrated to Cuba from 1860 through 1930 to work in the sugar and tobacco industry. Most did not return and made Cuba their home. A large portion lived in Santiago, eastern Cuba. Some resided in the Isle of Pines alongside the majority of populace being Caymanian. Of this group emerged a strong cadre of Castro's early revolutionaries. They had significant influence in the feature of racial equality. I want to thank that listener for sharing that with us as well. We're going to take a commercial break. When we return, we have 2 more callers left to accommodate, so please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
At Doctor's Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctor's Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Is your child looking for a new academic challenge or to take their sport to college level? Dorman Day, your boarding school experts in Cayman, are pleased to welcome the Brook Hill School, a leading co-ed Christ-centered boarding school in East Texas, preparing students for college and for life. Join us at the Compass Loft on Wednesday, 18th of January at 6:30 p.m. Learn more about Brook Hill's Academic and Arts Program, Business Lab, On-Campus Museum, Championship Sports, and Boarding Village. Call 936-3676 to register.
You know what I love to do with my family? Go fishing. I can put the bait on and cast and reel the line all by myself. My mommy and daddy say when they were little, there were plenty more fish to catch, but now there are lots more people fishing, so it's harder to find them. That's why we have marine parks now. They set some areas aside so the fish there can have babies and grow bigger. Then they swim out to other areas where I can catch them. Having the marine parks means there will still be fish there when I'm grown up and fishing with a family of my own.
For more info, download the Cayman DOE app or visit doe.ky.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Records. Two last callers. Just want to share this quickly with you. This is a good feeling story again. This person says, good morning, Mr. Connor. You're absolutely right about Cayman helping Cuban refugees. I remember once a cousin of mine and I were in Miami shopping for auto parts. We purchased the parts at a local auto parts store. When it came time for payment, my cousin produced his ID because he was paying by card. The manager, who was an elderly Cuban-American gentleman, commented on the fact that we were from the Cayman Islands and my cousin was born in 1963. The gentleman said he was giving him a 63% discount. My cousin questioned this, of course. Why such a huge discount? The gentleman replied, you were born in 1963, which was an excellent year for me. It was the year I left Cuba as a refugee and arrived on Grand Cayman, and the Caymanian people treated me like a king. He took time out of his busy schedule to reminisce with us about the good old days in Grand Cayman and some popular landmarks at the time. The Chapel Church of God on the waterfront, the old Godfrey's Guest House, Puritan Cleaners on the waterfront, which is now Rackham's, to mention a few. You and I, Mr. Connick, cannot forget Tent City with our involvement there. So I want to thank that writer for those sentiments and sharing that story with us as well. Let's go to the phone lines. Two callers. First caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Morning, OC.
Good morning. How are you?
Not doing too bad.
Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year.
Thanks.
Listen, since I know Minister Kenneth is listening in and hopefully some of the other members of government, one of the things that I think will be a huge disservice to the Cayman people in regards to this discussing doing a referendum or what have you on lotto / gambling is that we're not addressing the crux of or the details. For example, what would these funds raised be used for? And I'm personally of the opinion that they should not go into general government coffers and more assigned more specifically to, as we know, we haven't had pensions here for very long, relatively speaking, when you compare it to other countries, and thus the folks that are retiring, or there are many retired folks right now, are finding it difficult to survive with any sort of funds that the government provides them with. So I think it should go towards strictly at the care of the elderly folk and education, nothing else. Because at the end of the day, we're supposedly one of the biggest financial centers of the world. We should be able to generate our own operating capital without having to do the whole gambling thing. But if we're going to do this, and I think it should just be exclusive to that, but the question is, it should not just be a question of whether you're for or against the lotto or the gamble or what have you. It should be spelled out what the intent of the funds, what would they would be used for.
Yeah. Caller, would you...
Just going to general coffers, I don't think that it would be I think it would be a very big mistake to do so.
Would you, caller, include in that any efforts at rehabilitation as well? Because just like other addictions, gambling can and is an addiction as well. So we
absolutely, and I do believe rehabilitation is part of education.
Yeah.
So I definitely believe that is something that should happen, and because that's another thing that also falls for. I mean, again, also mental health. It's a travesty what's happening. That when we waited so many decades for a mental health facility, and it just shuttered, waiting on staff. I mean, is anybody looking into why that was such a failure in terms of providing the staff?
I mentioned it previously on the show and questioned, why the staffing issue was not addressed at the same time, because
we have a world-class government.
3 years.
Service, right?
Yeah, 3 years. We had enough time to train up some Caymanians to take those positions if they're not already prepared for it.
Absolutely. But anyway, I just wanted to make sure that underscore that we need the details on this thing, and not just the fact of whether or not we're doing a lot or what have you.
Point well taken. Good point.
Have a great day.
Thank you. You do the same as well. Next caller. Good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. Corner.
Good morning. How are you?
I am very grateful. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks.
Okay. Mr. Corner, I just wanted to follow up on Minister Bryan's call. And since he called in, it triggered my thoughts again. Since they are preparing, if I understood correctly, to do a referendum, for the the cannabis, then the gambling. I was wondering, since they're already going to be preparing a referendum, if they wouldn't add to that referendum that we revert back to the way we used to vote, rather than having the one man, one vote affair. Because obviously, I don't think any of them want to bring that motion. That's the way they got elected, but the majority of the people are not happy with what's going on with the one man, one vote thing. And, lots of us would prefer to have it go back to where it was. And I'm just wondering if they would consider adding that question to the referendum.
Just from an advisory standpoint, to see where the population stands in terms of those who are for it and against it, as opposed to it being binding, you're saying?
Yes. Well, there was a time when that referendum was brought, and, to change it to the one man, one vote thing. And, if you take it district by district, the referendum passed. But because of the numbers, it didn't pass. And which to me meant people were happy with the way we were voting. And but then afterwards, it was brought to the House by a member, and they had the numbers, so it passed. And that didn't speak for the population that wasn't happy with having that.
But caller, how do we address then the inequality where in some districts you have the ability to have more votes than persons in other districts as well? How do you address that imbalance and that inequity?
Well, I think we address it the way we always addressed it. That is the way it always was for East End and North Side. And if they think that those two districts need more representatives, then add more numbers. But if they don't think that it's needed, then it can remain the same. And failing going back to the way we voted, then let's change it then. Make it a national election where it doesn't matter where you live. You can vote for whomever you choose to vote for.
Yeah.
And, obviously you'd have more than one vote, because you're going to be voting for, who would head up that party, and then you'd be voting for, a second, like what would become an MP then.
Well, one caller this morning suggested that you end up having, 19 votes, that you can vote for it would be basically an at-large voting where everyone runs throughout the island. So each individual voter gets to vote for, they can if they want to, or they may just choose to vote for one or two or five or six or whatever, but they have that opportunity, to vote. And so it becomes a national vote as opposed to a district vote. And then you could, that principle of one person, one vote would then be even more applicable.
Well, certainly, based on all the, conversations I have and, calls I get, I can tell you that people would like to have, the public would like to have a say in that matter. And it like I said, whatever the result is, the result is, If the minority ends up, winning, then so be it. If the majority gets to have their say, then so be it. Many unhappy people had to deal with that change when it became one man, one vote. So you're now dealing with a lot of unhappy people because of the one man, one vote system.
Okay. So, now, what I would also say is that if it fails to get on a referendum ballot, then what people should take the advantage of is, you heard the announcement that the Electoral Boundaries Commission has been reestablished. It has to be done after 8 years. And the same membership is on there. I'm sure that they will be having public hearings, and this is one way for the public to articulate their views, on that in the event that it is not addressed otherwise. So we would encourage people to do that as well.
Right. But let's hope that they sort of, keep us informed of, when they'll have meetings and where.
They will. They will.
Yeah.
And we will highlight it here.
I have no doubt, but I'm just saying, because we have to bear in mind, not everybody is listening to the radio. We no longer have a television station, where the 6 o'clock news is brought and, other matters are brought to you on a daily basis. And also, I think another thing that's been forgotten, not that I'm promoting anyone else, is that we have several radio stations on island. And when it's a matter coming from the government, I think, what we call it press releases, they could be shared with those other radio stations just to make sure it reaches everyone.
Well, I think they go out to all news organizations and media houses. Whether or not they highlight it like we do here on Radio Cayman is another story.
Yeah. Well, I listen to Radio Cayman, obviously. So I hear what Radio Cayman says. But I also know people who do not listen to Radio Cayman. They prefer to fix their dial, on a station that's playing music that's uplifting to them. And so obviously they're not hearing, the PSAs and the press releases and stuff, that Radio Cayman would normally bring to us. So that's the only reason I said that. And but if it's coming from the government, then I think it should be impressed upon those media houses that it has to be, read or
that may be a little extreme.
Well, I don't know. I mean, they got a license.
Or what we could do is we could tell them to make sure that Radio Cayman is the default radio station for all listeners in the Cayman Islands. Just a joke.
I know.
Caller, I want to thank you. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Folks, someone has said that the select committee of the whole house, the meeting is regarding the numbers game, not talking about a local lottery, but the numbers, because the bill had to do with illegal numbers. And the person says, why did the minister not convince his colleagues to have this in public rather than do it in a manner that he has? He would have had caucus on Monday and cabinet yesterday. Very strange tactic. Maybe it's a last-minute decision, not sure. I'm not sure that we can see anything in this, but I'm just sharing with you what the reader, the listener has shared with us. Folks, it has been an excellent show this morning again. I want to thank all of those who participated in the discussion. Still a few more WhatsApp messages that I was unable to share, but if time allows, we don't delete them here on Radio Cayman. We keep them, and if time allows on the next show, I will revert back to those as well. So folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman, and by extension For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles, as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, wherever that may be. I also want to remind you that we are our brothers and our sisters' keepers. There is always someone out there who's less fortunate than we are, and I ask you to extend a helping hand to them. If you can't do that, then I suggest you donate to a worthy charity, because we always want to consider those who need, not necessarily those who want or even those who crave. So I say to you, have a great day. Continue to support your radio station, Radio Cayman. Join Sterling Dwayne Banks at 12:15 for Talk Today. And as usual, we ask the good Lord to bless these 3 beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands.
For the Record, proudly brought to you by
Coca-Cola. Available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery. Inspiring luxury. West Bay Pharmacy. Taking care of your health. And JN Money. From abroad to yard. Fast, affordable, convenient. Doctor's Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctor's Hospital. Always there for you. Call 949-6066.
From district to district, moving through the waters to Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Your station, your voice. All things Cayman, one radio, many people. This is home.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.